The first mistake that I see new bookkeepers making is scope creep. So this is doing things that are outside of your role as a bookkeeper. So maybe you and your client agreed in your contract about what types of things you were going to be doing. And then little by little, they're asking you to do a couple extra things here and there. And you want to be nice, you want to be helpful. So you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then pretty soon you're spending a lot more hours than you were expecting on the work. And so, I teach you to be a contractor and own your own bookkeeping business. So remember, you're not an employee of that person. It's not the type of job where you work for a boss and they tell you what to do. So if it's something that's not in your original contract, if you have a client that you're continually having that scope creep problem with, the next time they ask you to do a different task, I want you to reply to their email and be like, yes, I would be happy to do this. Here is the amount that I charge for that type of service. And truthfully, they might not even know that they're doing anything wrong. They're like, oh, that thing is kind of tangentially related to finance, so my bookkeeper should do it. But with a little training, they can realize what exactly is in the scope of your tasks. All right, and the second mistake I see bookkeepers making is charging too little. So if you want to hear more about that, definitely give this video a thumbs up right now and subscribe to my channel for a new bookkeeper video every week. I'm Morgan, my website is FinePoints.biz, and I have a free masterclass and checklist you can check out if you want to be a bookkeeper. So charging too little. I know this can be really hard as a new bookkeeper because you might not feel like you're worth like a very large dollar amount, right? But I want you to really try to think about the value that you're providing your client. You're saving them so much time and headache and really giving them a clear picture of their finances, which is key for running their business. And a mistake that has to do with pricing that I figured out kind of a little too late in the game was a lot of clients would just come to me at the end of the year and want their whole year of books done. And for that one project, I would charge a lower rate than if I was charging them monthly as a bookkeeper. So maybe for that one project, I would charge them $1,000. But if they were my monthly client, I would be charging them $250 per month. So basically they were getting more than a 50% discount just by waiting till the last minute. So again, if you can kind of think of the value of what you're doing, what value does it have to have an entire year of really clean bookkeeping done? Or maybe touching back to that scope creep thing, maybe they have you fill out a loan application and that takes you half a day, maybe 4 hours, but it gets your client thousands and thousands of dollars. So what value is that to them? What value is the fact that the application is filled out? And yes, they could probably do it themselves, but then that's up to them to decide, do I want to outsource it to my bookkeeper or do I want to do it myself? So please, as much as possible, try not to sell yourself short in the area of pricing. The third mistake is not taking charge. So this could potentially start in the first interview you have with your client. What's kind of the balance of power you guys have? Are they asking all the questions and interviewing you in a really formal situation? Or are you able to confidently explain your services as a bookkeeper and the kind of relationship that you would want with the client? Are you comfortable asking them about all the details of their business? Because that's going to help you decide if you want to work with them as a client. So who's kind of in the driver's seat in this relationship, right? I know a lot of times this could kind of stem from lack of confidence. So maybe you have an ongoing monthly meeting with your client. Do what you can to feel as confident as possible before that meeting. So what kind of things help you and hype you up? Is it you listen to a song beforehand? Is it you go for a walk? Do you do some positive self-talk? I know I am a preparer, so I'll probably make a list of a bunch of questions and maybe even think through some of my responses or how I'm going to word stuff. And that helps me feel prepared and confident for meetings. The fourth mistake is accepting any client that wants to hire you. Let me know in the comments if you have ever accepted a client that you later regretted. Maybe the client is too complex and you're really just not ready for that level of a client. Or maybe it's someone that's not respectful of your time or of your efforts. That is not someone fun to work for. Or maybe the client is too small. I know I did this a lot as a beginning bookkeeper. I would take on someone who was just starting their business and feeling disorganized, needing help. I wanted to help them, but then they really couldn't afford a very big monthly rate for me. And then truthfully, it kind of ends up being a bigger headache than it's worth. Or the most common thing I see is bookkeepers jumping from industry to industry to industry and taking clients taking a construction worker client, then taking a lawyer client, then taking a preschool, then taking a nonprofit. And for each of those different things, you're going to have to learn the industry. Or maybe you take on a client that doesn't use QuickBooks and you have to learn a new bookkeeping system. That is really inefficient for you as a bookkeeper. And I know sometimes at the beginning, you don't know what niche you want to work in. It's kind of overwhelming to think about all the options. But as quickly as you can, try to figure out what you like to do as a bookkeeper and stick to those niches. Or pick a certain program you want to work in and stick to that program, because that's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. The next mistake is not having work-life balance. I know this was really hard for me to learn, and it's been a process over the 10 years I've been a bookkeeper, but I used to work every weekend, and so my husband could watch our kids and I would work. But then I was kind of like, do I want to be working every weekend? And I think that's okay for a little while, but over time I was able to come up with more creative childcare options. And then also as my kids grew up, it became a lot easier. And going along with that is just feeling alone when you're working from home. I felt like I didn't really have anyone to turn to or to ask questions to. So as much as you can, if you can get some bookkeeper colleagues, look at those Facebook groups, ask questions there, kind of get to know people, that's going to help you out a lot as a bookkeeper. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.